Chiefs Bengals. Next up, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Chargers 6-5, 4-2 on the road at Las Vegas Raiders 4-7, 2-2 at home. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Raiders have cost me so much money this year. There's no team that I've handled worse in the league than the way I've handled the Raiders. It's uncanny. Like I just don't want to have anything to do with them if they're playing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, we have line history wise. We will start there. We have these Raiders opening up at +2.5. They're now +1.5. That last move came at 3 p.m. today. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 50 as a pick'em. There's been a 10-cent move to the over at penny. Take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 4,207 tickets in. They've given line value to the Raiders. I don't know, about 10% line value. 46% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the Raiders. 61% of tickets, 72% of the cash on the over. The Chargers coming off a 25-24 last-second victory at Arizona. Herbert, 35-47 for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Also ran 4 for 38 to lead the Chargers in rushing. Their ground attack continues to struggle and not get opportunities. Eckler, Joshua Kelly, and Isaiah Spiller combined for 9 carries for 27 yards. DeAndre Carter caught 7 for 73 and a touchdown. Staley was raving about him today. Austin Eckler caught 11 passes for 60 yards and a touchdown. Joshua Palmer caught 5 for 56. Keenan Allen caught 5 for 49. Gerald Everett caught the game-winning 2-point conversion. The defense struggled to get pressure on Murray. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. Cardinals were 7 of 13 on third down. Derwin James did have a pick. The Chargers have trailed by 10 or more points at some point in the first half in each of their last 4 wins. I mean, that's not a recipe for success. Their defense is now 30th in opponent yards per play. Mike Williams was inactive. Trey Pipkins, re-aggravation of his MCL injury. They say it's day-to-day. Corey Linsley, their center, is in concussion. He left the game in the second quarter. He's in concussion protocol. Raiders coming off a big 40-34 road victory in overtime at Seattle. Josh Jacobs was spectacular, man. Franchise record, 229 yards rushing, 2 scores, 6 catches for 74 yards. His 303 yards from scrimmage were the most in franchise history, the 7th most in a game in the Super Bowl era. He won the game with an 86-yard TD run in overtime. He'd never had a touchdown run over 28 yards before that. 4th player in the Super Bowl era with at least 300 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. The first since Adrian Peterson in 2007. The first player since at least 1950 with at least 225 yards rushing and 70 yards receiving in the same game. Raiders were 8 of 14 on third down, put up 567 total yards. Derek Carr, 25 of 36 for 295 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Devontae Adams had 7 for 74. Mac Hollins had 4 for 63 and a touchdown. The Raiders shut down the Seahawks run game, held them to 65 yards on 23 carries. They held the Seahawks to 3-9 on third down. So they have 202 more yards. Let's even take off the 86 yards. Let's say you'll only beat them by 125 yards. You hold them to 3-9 on third down. How did this game get to overtime? If you beat them that badly statistically, what's happening? A defensive tackle Andrew Billings limped off the field in the 4th quarter and was carted to the locker room. I couldn't get an update on him. Take it away for us here. Chargers, Raiders, Andy.
Yeah, and people in the chat are discussing Josh Jacobs and his injury / health, whatever you want to call it. It does seem like he's going to be fine. Practice the rest of the week. He's going to play. Ace matchup for him. Raiders, I'm with you there, though, too. It's been really tough to bet on the Raiders. It's been really tough to bet against the Raiders, like figuring out when this team is going to give effort and when they're not. That said, they have a really, really good matchup here for the run game that's working. Like, the Chargers have been bad against the run. The offensive line injuries for the Chargers make me wonder why this hasn't flipped yet to the Raiders being a small favorite. I know I have these teams rated, and that doesn't totally jive with it, but these injuries plus the matchup that Jacobs is going to get just feels like a bad one. So I'm staying off it because I've given up on betting Raiders games this year. Finding out what I'm going to get from the passing game from week to week has just been a mixed bag. They might be able to run the ball pretty effectively here, but as we saw last week too, the defense wasn't that great. The Chargers are getting a little healthier, especially in the receiving core. This total's right where it needs to be, and I have no interest in betting a side with either of these teams. So this is one I'll have on TV. I'll be watching this, and maybe some Josh Jacobs props.
He's been a monster. It's hard to believe that he was questionable Like he said himself, he didn't know if he was going to play till late. It's hard to imagine. It's amazing what being in a contract year will do for you.
Yeah, that cures all ills.
Fucking Bo Horvat's turned into Rocket Richard for the Canucks in a fucking contract year.
I thought Rocket Richard retired.
No, he's good. Him and Henry, they're good to go.
Very good.
This is if I could put a line through my inability to cap Raiders games appropriately, then I would say that I understand the market move towards the Raiders. And I also think that when it comes down to crunch time, Herbert will get it done. But I'm just hesitant to take the Chargers on the road, but I would probably move on it. Birdie saying Raiders are blowing 3 double-digit leads. Raiders look like they've been up and down, but they've actually been extremely competitive. We are seeing positive regression, which we should have. Okay. I'm going to have to Harold Williams looking at the over in this game. Did you have any feel on this total?
No, total feels right, just because I think there's a wide distribution of what we get from either team. Like, this is a nice median point. Both teams score 40? Sure. Both teams score 20? Yep. Like, I have no feel on what's showing up each week for either of these teams on offense.
All right. Terry Walker said last 2 weeks, I like Vegas, not this week.